What's your
I'm just curious to hear a little bit sort of what your discussions have been, meeting with Nevadans over the last couple of days, what some of the big concerns have been, and sort of how Hillary Clinton can address those.
I mean, at least for I spent a day yesterday in northern Nevada, and both in very rural areas as well as in Reno. I think that the access to health care is a huge issue, and certainly for rural folks. And we had a large discussion about that, even how we at Planned Parenthood are working to expand online access and kinds of things where there aren't health centers. And then, of course, I think for young women, and I met with a bunch of young women at the university in Reno, they are desperately concerned about the attitudes the Republican candidates have taken towards fundamental health care. Everything from their pledge to get rid of safe and legal abortion in America to the kind of everyday issues that these women are facing, which is having the Affordable Care Act cover their preventive care, being able to, equality in gender, no gender rating in insurance plans. These are kinds of things that we fought for years to get in the Affordable Care Act, and of course, this Republican-led Congress has voted to overturn it many, many times. So I think that, and the other part of this, which I think is so important and was we discussed everywhere, Carson City, whatever, is I think sometimes in the political season, women's health care issues get somehow dismissed or sidelined as social issues. And there is really no more fundamental economic issue than the ability to both access health care that's affordable as well as plan your family. And so the thought that I think candidates who running for president and running for the United States Senate put these off the side shows a fundamental lack of understanding of the issues that everyday Nevadans face.
So with sort of Senator Sanders and Senator Clinton, I mean both of them would support Planned Parenthood, if they were president. So I mean, why is she the better candidate?
Well, I think what we've seen. So there's two reasons that the Planned Parenthood Action Fund made the decision to endorse earlier than we had before. One is the stakes are so much higher this year. I mean, I have never seen a presidential contest in which every single Republican running for president, including John Kasich, who is now somehow emerging as some kind of moderate, he has signed 17 bills to restrict women's health care access and is about to sign another one. And he would be an absolute unmitigated disaster for women. So I think that the urgency, and certainly the urgency of what's been happening in Washington, D.C., where Congress voted to defund Planned Parenthood, and it was only because of President Obama not just supporting us, but actually vetoing a bill. And that's the kind of leadership that we've got to have in Washington. And then the Action Fund went through a very, very involved and lengthy process to interview in person all the candidates running for president, get their bios, and it was a committee made up of patients, some of our volunteer leaders, as well as staff and board members. And although we had three at that point, Governor O'Malley was in the race, and we had three friends in the race, Secretary Clinton's record on fighting for women's rights and for health care access was just head and shoulders above everyone else. And we just felt it was really important that we begin to get involved early and educate our millions of members about what's at stake in this election.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Why do you think women's health care has barely come up in the debate so far? And what are you hoping Secretary Clinton and Senator Sanders will say tonight?
Well, it's incredible to me, since it is the issue of safe and legal abortion, the issue of defunding Planned Parenthood, the issue of overturning the Affordable Care Act has been in every single Republican debate that I saw. It's time that we address these issues in the Democratic primary as well. Because, again, this isn't a intellectual issue anymore. I think 8 years ago, they started talking about the war on women. Well, it's been fully engaged. In my home state of Texas, where women have lost, we've had dozens of women's health centers have to shut down. So it's for women in America, this isn't just a principled, where do you stand? It's literally, what are you going to do to protect access for women and young people and families to basic health care in America?
Yeah, and what would you say to young women here in Nevada who are still deciding between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders?
I mean, I think it's just really worth looking at what the two of them have done in their lifetime. And I Secretary Clinton, long before she was in office, as was discussed today, was a Children's Defense Fund lawyer. Advocated for abuse victims. Mm-hmm. It was really when she was as First Lady, she fought to get children's health insurance started in this country. Now 8 million children in America have health insurance. She was really the forerunner of what eventually became Obamacare. Mm-hmm. And my experience with her when she was in the United States Senate, she was there a relatively short time compared to Senator Sanders. Yeah. She introduced 8 separate bills to expand reproductive health care. She didn't ever wait to be asked. She actually was out on the forefront, and that's 8 more than anyone running for president of the United States. So I think it's just important not only to see what people say and what positions they take, but what do they actually get done? Mm-hmm. Because as I say, I think the millions of people who are counting on Planned Parenthood or counting on healthcare providers in this country, they can't afford to lose any more ground. Yeah.
Does Planned Parenthood, the candidate, this both candidate women represent what Planned Parenthood stands for?
I'm sorry.
If they represent what Planned Parenthood stands for, better than the other candidate.
Are you talking about the presidential? Okay, just want to make sure. Well, so I think, as I said, all 3 candidates, I know Governor O'Malley's out of the race now, they've all been good, solid votes for Planned Parenthood's issues. It's just that Secretary Clinton has actually led on these issues and really made change. And I think one of the other issues that's incredibly important to us at Planned Parenthood is the right of immigrants to get health care. There are many things we need to now build on from the Affordable Care Act, but obviously one of the most disappointing, heartbreaking aspects of that was the lack of inclusion of immigrants in the healthcare system. We at Planned Parenthood are proud to serve everyone, regardless of their immigration status, and we do every day, including here in the state of Nevada. We now have to actually address that, and that's an area that Secretary Clinton has been very strong on, and we need, again, you can't win in this Congress by just having a new idea. You actually have to stand and lead and stick with it until things get done. That's the only way we've won the achievements that we have won, and we need someone. On behalf of the Planned Parenthood Action Fund, we support any candidate who is 100% and fights for these issues, Republican, Democrat, Independent. The truth is what we need in the White House is someone who's going to come in day one and be ready to go. And that's Secretary Clinton.
Thank you.